series of artist talks in front of the festival. So let me introduce Till Bovermann, who will be talking about his projects and who is also leading a workshop called Fielding, which will take place tomorrow. So I think some of you are either registered or you can have a look at it still. Take part in the workshop, and probably you will understand better what it is all about after the talk, which of course will be followed by a Q&A session, so you can ask questions if interested. So I will give the word to Till now, and then after the talk, the concerts in the main hall should start at around 7:15, I guess. Yes, so welcome.
Good evening. Is this on? Do you hear me? Am I loud enough?
No.
You're not. I'm not. Hold a second. Am I loud enough now? Yes. Perfect. So, yeah, as Slavo already said, my name is Till, and I will present my work today on music performance in sonic wilderness, performing music in the land, performing music with the land. There will be a workshop around this theme a little bit. It will be a little bit more techy, I guess, but we will also do other things in the workshop tomorrow and on Saturday. So, systems encounters, fielding and sonic wilderness intervention. This theme of mine evolved from various interventions, mainly a 5-day residency together with 6 other people in Kilpisjärvi in deep Sami land, next to the 3-nation corner between Sweden, Norway and Finland. It was organized by the Finnish Fine Arts Society in cooperation with AGF, Untitled, and you know her and her music, in 2015. And a second residency, a Sokos micro-residency on the island of Hailuoto in central Finland, together with 9 other people invited and curated by High Art and AGF. And what I'm doing currently, a 5-month music residency at the Institute for Electronic Music and Acoustic at the IEM in France. What is meant with sonic wilderness? We connect the term wilderness with a colonial, somehow romantic feeling of untouched nature that awaits to be conquered. But we did not think of the great open plains, the beautiful rolling hills and winding streams with tangled growth as wild. Only the white man was nature, a wilderness, and only to him was the land infested with wild animals and savage people. To us, it was tame. Earth was bountiful, and we were surrounded with the blessings of the great mystery. Not only the hairy man from the east came, and with brutal frenzy heaped injustices upon us and the families we loved. Was it wild for us? Said Standing Bear, a Ponca Native American chief. Apart from all the historical latent circumstances of this, I use this description to coin the term sonic intervention wilderness. So what is sonic intervention wilderness? A sonic intervention wilderness is a descriptor for something that is unknown to me in a specific sense. It describes an environment that appears sonically uncanny, alien, sublime, independent of the familiarity it might have to me in a different context. The wildness may be caused, for example, by its musically uninviting cultural or natural context, or by its soundscape that escapes my understanding or interpretation as being musically sensible. Sonic intervention wilderness is a subjective term. Despite the obvious subjectivity of judging on the familiarity and musicality of a soundscape or the context of an environment, the decision whether or not I consider it sonically wild is subject to constant change. Similarly to experiencing a completely unknown site, spending time investigating a sonic intervention wilderness for example, its soundscape and acoustic properties, possibly with the intention of making music, as it is in my case, makes it more tamed. It gradually turns into an environment in which I am able to imagine myself to risk making music. Simultaneously to the process of this development of musical conception of a site caused by personal experience, which effectively turns it into a musically known site, I run into the dangers of getting less flexible in reinterpreting my observations. Dangers because my personal understanding of making music, opposed to performing or composing, is grounded in curiosity and exploration, which both are qualities that require an openness for reinterpretation. While I want to get to know the site in order to make music there, I want to keep it fresh and extend the time in which it surprises me. Given this context, I ask myself, what are strategies for performing in a sonic intervention wilderness? There's improvisation. That means selecting figures and phrases from an extensive repertoire while performing. And there are event scores, a concept first described by George Brecht, which are sets of rules to follow or explicitly disobey. These two can of course be combined. The following is a guideline which proved useful in the specific context of sonic intervention wildernesses. It suggests 4 phases for an intervention: meditation, contemplation, action, and reflection. Meditation is the strategy to get into an attentive mind space. Meditate to be in the moment. No purposeful listening is needed. Select a spot where you feel safe, as meditation practice relies on trusting the surroundings. Meditate the land. Meditate in the land. Contemplation means getting to know what is present. Contemplate the land. Practice passive and active listening to get an idea of your surrounding. Ask yourself, how will it affect your performance? Taking action means playing, making music. Make use of the land as material and playing partner. Express your mood and incorporate what you found earlier. Improvise with the land as your playing partner. Continue to listen. Dinah, one of the participants, developed an active listening technique. Active listening means to actively mix sounds by choosing locations based on what you hear. You can search for sounds, make it a task to identify as many sounds as possible, or create a dynamic live mix by moving from one place to another, pushing certain sounds into the foreground over time, pass them from left to right. Headphones and microphones can support the act of active listening. They are an abstraction layer that helps to interpret the soundscape in abstract terms such as loud, quiet, harsh, soft, high-pitched, or repetitive. It can be a technique to record a wilderness performance. Reflection means to consciously take the time to revisit what happened, to give afterthoughts, observations and new ideas as dedicated space to form themselves. How did the land affect your playing? How did your performance affect the land? How are you feeling? Are things different than before? Based on past performances and those to come, the gestalt of wilderness instruments changes and adapts. It is a utopian iterative cycle of design, build, play, practice, refine, repeat. Goals and ideals are contradictory and at the same time exposed to constant change. Decisions have to be made. Do I want to feature imitation or contrast, amplification or synthesis? Is it about the environmentality or the artificial? Do I want to do something regular or more? Here are some instrument examples of participants of the two camps. Feedback as an instrument by Annie Go and Katharina Hauke. What you hear is a recording, a field recording basically, of them being in that boat that you see and playing the boat with the feedback system. Amplification of found and designed artifacts, for example, as Lee Patterson does it. Voice and processing, which Antje is famous for, and that we saw in the video before. Superimposed artificial acoustics, meaning passive mixer with microphones and a mobile speaker that create artificial acoustics overlaying the existing ones. Live coding, and not to forget, agency of what is there already. Some of these aspects lead to what I then developed, which I called fielding. Which is a performance framework that encourages the integration of agency into sonic wilderness interventions. My intention there was to invite especially non-human life to be part of the performance and explicitly grant space for it to unfold. There are three factors involved. First, well, somewhere you have to start. Up there, the structural. Via live coding writing interface, a human performer determines the structural outline of the soundscape. Then there is a vocabulary, which you see on the left side from your set, which is interpreted and translated into specific synthesis elements chosen from a set of possibilities by external factors, ultimately at least. So this would be time of day, GPS location, or planets' positions. And last but not least, the non-human performers that influence the dynamics of the sounds by means of sensors. There are currently two nodes existing. Each can have different sensors attached. You see them there in this photo. However, their structural elements are linked together, which means that if I change the structural elements as the human performer, then I change them on both at the same time. And this might look like this. Fielding node that you see here consists of several elements. There is the heart of it, which is this computer thing on your right side. It is independent of external power sources by a battery, and it has several sensors attached. They can be different. So here we have temperature sensors and soil moisture sensor. and the rest is silence. A lot of time still. What I can do now is show you a little bit of the live coding environment. Unless you have immediate questions already now. Seems not to be the case. So what you here see is this live coding interface that I was talking about. And I have an alphabet that you see on the left side down, A, E, I, O, U, F, L, D, and G, and X. And behind all of these there's a little synthesis engine. The vocabulary itself are things that make sounds by themselves. And the consonants are filters, so they change sound and do something to it. In addition, there are these 4 numbers, 0 to 3. These are kind of variables, they are called, and you can just think of them as something that records what goes in from the left and that spits it out on the right side again. The same thing, even if I have several of them that I define. So up in the topmost, I can write things. And the sliders are a volume, basically. So I can write an A here. And then you hear that A. I can make a second one, and a third one, and a fifth. And now I can change the definition of it. And I can also add something else to it. And I can write it through a filter, which doesn't sound so nice at the moment. Yeah, this is what happens when you prepare things. So, we don't. We just start from scratch. So there is our A. And now I can change the frequency, for example, according to the input that goes in from the left. Then I can put these kind of sync sources things around it, so everything that goes out from the right will come in from the left again, depending on the feedback parameter that I can put here. And if I'm good, then I should hear a difference. I can add a delay in there. filter doesn't like me today. So I think I will end it here. And more will be shown tomorrow at the workshop. Thank you. Anyone dare to ask me something?
Maybe I will ask about this connection of technology and nature. How do you actually feel about it? Because sometimes it doesn't go well together because of all different weather conditions, for instance, or there is no electricity. I mean, not in the sense that you would be able to use in the wild everywhere. Or also there are these like apocalyptic ideas that are moving up about civilization without electricity. So I'm wondering, how do you position your work in this discourse?
There's this idea of the nature-culture dichotomy, and I'm not so sure about this because we are somehow, also we are nature somehow, and I think you have to embrace both of it and you have to come prepared, as always. If you go into the land, you have to get your food with you, or you have to be able to find it there. And the same thing is if you decide to make music there, then you have to prepare your stuff that it works. And of course it is always easier to play the guitar at the fireplace, but maybe there are other things that are equally interesting and that somehow also... Okay, the idea behind this is really to connect with nature, and with nature is really a difficult term actually, to connect with what is out there. And since I'm experienced with technology, I do this with the natural tools that I have, and that is digital technology.
So you would use solar panels for the...
Yeah, in the long run, definitely. And also solar panels not only for energy harvesting, but also as an input, because there is light and there is light change, and there are things that interact with the stuff that I bring, and all kinds of energy harvesting things, whether it is solar panels or windmills or water mills, can also provide some sensory input. But I think it is really important to not focus too much on the technology part. I think this is what for me is really a big part of it, which I try to tell about. Now I don't see is this kind of reflection and meditation and contemplation around it. So to really give space to be as well, and not only to fix problems. Because this is what easily happens when you have the technology thing with you.
No more questions?
Well, thanks for coming then.
Thank you.
And have a nice festival.